You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 25th of July. PM Modi receives warm welcome in Maldives, visit signals reset in ties. Pakistani court suspends blasphemy commission ruling. And IMF applauds Sri Lanka's economic progress but warns of downside risks. And now for all the details. Concluding a short and fruitful visit to the UK, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday arrived in Maldives for a state visit. The visit marks a significant moment in bilateral relations after ties nosedived following President Muizzu's election to the top office. A report.
After a short visit to United Kingdom, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday arrived in Maldives on a state visit to the archipelago nation. In a significant gesture, Prime Minister Modi was received at the airport by Maldivian President Mohamed Muizzu, along with members of his cabinet at the airport upon Prime Minister's arrival. The visiting Indian leader was accorded a ceremonial welcome, a 21-gun salute, and a vibrant cultural performance by local school children. Following the ceremonies, the two leaders held delegation-level talks aimed at enhancing cooperation in health, infrastructure, and environmental sustainability. Several developmental projects were also virtually inaugurated during the session, followed by handing over Beachism Health Cubes and inauguration of Maldives Ministry of Defence building, a project supported by Indian Infrastructure Assistance. Marking 60 years of diplomatic relations between India and the Maldives, both sides unveiled a commemorative stamp, reinforcing the historical depth of the partnership. The Indian Prime Minister Modi will attend Maldives' Independence Day celebrations as guest of honor. His visit includes soft diplomacy, beach walk, coral restoration, tree planting, and cultural exchanges. He will meet key Maldivian leaders, including ex-President Nasheed and opposition leaders. The visit aims to reset ties after a dip post-President Muizzu's election and India out stance. With Muizzu's earlier visit to New Delhi, Modi's trip underscores India's neighborhood first policy and a renewed chapter in bilateral relations.
And weeks after China announced the expansion of its ambitious CPEC project, including Afghanistan as part of its efforts to boost trilateral cooperation between Beijing, Islamabad and Kabul, India has called the move unacceptable. In a written reply to a query in the upper house of the parliament, India's Deputy Foreign Minister Kirti Vardhan Singh said New Delhi's position on CPEC is clear and consistent. Government has consistently protested to parties concerned over the inclusion of the so-called China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which passes through parts of the Indian Union territories of Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir under illegal occupation of Pakistan, as a flagship project of OBOR or BRI, and asked them to cease these activities. Singh said in the reply. The statement added that any proposed participation of third countries or expansion of the so-called CPEC projects to third countries is unacceptable. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure project launched in 2015 under Beijing's large Belt and Road Initiative. Stretching from Xinjiang in China to Balochistan's Gwadar port, the corridor includes roadways, railways, pipelines and energy projects with significant portion passing through Gilgit-Baltistan, the Indian region under Pakistan's illegal occupation. New Delhi has opposed the project from the outset, calling it a violation of its territorial integrity. And the Islamabad High Court on Thursday suspended a single bench's order that had directed the federal government to form a commission to investigate misuse of Pakistan's blasphemy laws. A division issued the 30-day stay after hearing appeals challenging the ruling. Senior lawyers Kamran Murtaza and Adil Aziz Qazi argued the petitioners were denied a proper hearing and questioned the High Court's jurisdiction and authority to mandate such a commission. They also raised concerns over the admissibility of third-party petitions. The suspended judgment issued after 42 hearings cited nearly 400 FIRs and 700 accused in online blasphemy cases, many allegedly entrapped by a figure named Iman or Komal. The court also flagged custodial deaths, reused digital evidence, and procedural violations by the Federal Investigation Agency. Pakistan's blasphemy laws have long drawn criticism for being weaponized, especially against religious minorities and dissenters. False accusations often spark mob violence, lengthy detentions, and even extrajudicial killings. Human rights groups have called for reforms to prevent abuse and ensure due process. Moving on, amid growing speculation about Pakistan recognizing the Taliban regime, Islamabad has firmly stated that no such decision is currently under consideration. Pakistan's Foreign Office spokesperson Shafqat Ali Khan in the weekly media briefing on Thursday called recent reports on the matter speculative and clarified that Pakistan has not taken any formal steps towards recognizing the Taliban government in Afghanistan. He confirmed that discussions are ongoing between the two foreign ministries to finalize the dates for a visit by the Taliban's foreign minister to Islamabad. However, he stressed that the question of recognition is not on the agenda for now. Khan also reiterated Pakistan's concerns over the presence of terrorist safe havens in Afghanistan, which he described as a persistent source of worry. The issue has remained a key point of contention between the two neighbors, particularly in light of recent cross-border incidents. On the matter of Afghan refugees, the spokesperson said that June 30th deadline for voluntary repatriation has expired. Proposals for an extension have been submitted, but the final decision rests with the Interior Ministry and other relevant institutions. He said authorities are still evaluating whether to allow more time or begin deportation proceedings. Moving on, while appreciating Sri Lanka's recent economic progress, the International Monetary Fund has urged the government to speed up key reforms and finalize the debt restructuring agreements in order to secure long-term stability and investor confidence. In a statement after a visit to Colombo from July 21st to 25th, the IMF's mission chief for Sri Lanka said that the economic reform program by Sri Lankan authorities is yielding commendable outcomes, but while the economic outlook is positive, downside risks have increased on the back of potentially high tariffs on Sri Lanka's exports, persistent trade policy uncertainty, and heightened geopolitical tensions. The IMF team also held meetings with President and Finance Minister Anurag Kumara Dissanayake and other officials. The statement informed that the progress in meeting key commitments under the IMF-supported program will be formally assessed in the context of fifth review of the extended fund facility arrangement. Moving on, Nepal President Ramchandra Paudel has returned the Constitutional Council Functions, Duties, Powers and Procedures Amendment Bill in accordance with Article 113, Clause 3 of the Constitution to the lower house of the Parliament for further reconsideration. The bill, endorsed by both the houses, was sent to the President for authentication on July 15 and contained that the Prime Minister and majority of available members, potentially as few as two, could make appointments to constitutional bodies in the absence of consensus requiring the Prime Minister's consent. Even only two members were present. The President, however, declined to authenticate the bill, stating that the bill does not align with the spirit of the Constitution. In a press release, the President's office said that the bill was sent back, citing the need for review based on further study, deliberations and analysis. The Parliament can now either revise the bill or send it back to the President in its current form. In case the bill is sent for the second time, the President must authenticate it. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.